Here with Michael Pry, head football coach for your El Paso Coronado Thunderbirds. How you doing this morning, Coach?
Doing fantastic, Tony. How are you?
I'm doing great. So it's the spring, which means you guys, football guys, have nothing whatsoever to do. You're just sitting around. Wait, no. So it's the busiest time of year when you're involved in high school athletics. So many sports have just ended, hitting the just starting their playoffs, just hitting mid stride. And of course you're involved. You know, you got your seniors that are about to graduate. But you are getting a chance to see your kids play in other sports. You're getting a chance to see them in the weight room. So how's it going so far in the spring?
Good. I think you hit it right on the head. We're a big proponent here of multi-sport athletes. We started spring ball 2 weeks ago, and 4 or 5 of our starters were either still in track and baseball, doing other sports. So it's good to have them back to spring ball now for the going on week 3. But our quarterback was a regional finalist in the pole vault, so he was gone. Our starting left tackle was a catcher in baseball. Our starting slot is a center fielder in baseball, and so we've got another linebacker that plays baseball. So we're trying to get all those kids back now. But you're right, this is an extremely busy part of the year. We had a really good off season. Coach Ayala runs our off season for us, and numbers were good in the weight room, and kids definitely saw some improvements.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the fall. You have graduation coming up here in a couple of weeks. You know your seniors that you're going to have to say goodbye to.
Yes, sir.
But who do you have back? What roles do you think they're going to play? And who are you losing to graduation, and who might step in to play those roles?
So we're losing to graduation. We'll lose our team captain, Cade Little, who just got done running the 400 at regionals. Kid's a heck of an athlete. But replacing him, we have a freshman who's going to be a sophomore named Ben Wilson, who we think can really step in and fill that void. We'll lose both of our tackles. One of our baseball kids, Christian Oliva, should help there. The other one will be filled in with a returning kid. And then on defense, we only lose one starter. We lose a young man named Andres Ortiz. And then there's a kid that played last year named Jaden Hickson who will fill that spot for him. So we're kind of lucky. We've got 17, 18 starters coming back from last year's squad, which really made for an easy transition to spring ball. The kids knew where to line up, what we expected, our terminology, and we've been really lucky to have continued on, just kind of an extension from the fall of what we were doing. So kids to look out for this year. Definitely our quarterback's coming back. His name's Owen Levesque. He's a two-sport athlete. Blake Randag, who will be he'll play offense, defense, special teams. He's a two-sport athlete. Our middle linebacker named Sebastian Perez. He's a really good athlete and started last year. We have a safety named Lucas Gonzalez, who's really good. We've got a receiver named Kason Golding, who did some really good things for us last year. Our center, Caden Deitch, was a starter. So we're lucky to have a lot of starters coming back.
Now you went to 3-7 last year, which doesn't sound, from just random outside looking in. But if you look a little into it, you scored 4 times more points last year than you scored the year before. You scored more points last year than you did the prior 2 years combined. So, and the wins in 2022 were more than you had in the prior 2 years combined. So,
Yes,
what you spiked the water with, Coach?
you know what? It's honestly, it starts with the coaching staff. We've got some phenomenal young coaches that came in full of energy, full of passion, and the kids bought into it. Coach Jeffrey, our offensive coordinator, is as passionate of a guy as you'll ever meet, and the kids kind of rallied around him. Coach Blanco, our defensive coordinator, is the same way. He's the first guy you want in a fist fight, and our defense rallied around him. We brought in, Coach Castaneda, Coach Ayala, Coach Hughes, a lot of good coaches that came in to mix with the coaches that were already here, and just got the kids to believe. And honestly, a little bit of just the talent level. A lot of those kids that started last year started as sophomores, and it was their first year because they didn't play freshman year because of COVID. And so I think it was just, a mix of good coaches, kids buying into the program, and just put a little bit of salt and pepper on it and got things going.
Now I know you have the community support there. I mean, when we talked last year, your booster club had just invested a lot of money into sprucing up your locker room, and I believe it was a new facility, or at least a renovated facility in the locker room.
Yes, sir.
And the booster club had brought in all kinds of things there to, for your kids to be comfortable when they're there, because you want the kids to be there and hang around.
Yes, sir.
So talk a little bit about the community support you get there at Coronado.
So the community support is amazing. We're actually in the process of finalizing a brand new weight room. So on top of what they did last year for us, they've raised an absorbent amount of money that is going to go to a brand new weight room, state of the art. The district is allocating us a building that they're going to renovate for us, and then we're going to outfit it. Our boosters are going to outfit it with 15 brand new racks. Everything's going to be custom done, custom floors, custom plates, custom bars. Everything's going to be extremely nice. It's going to rival what you see in a lot of the colleges. So again, that's coming from all of our community support in our booster club. They've raised a ton of money, and I don't know if you probably haven't priced weight rooms out recently, but they're not cheap. So our booster club they're the heart and soul really for our kids. They get us whatever we need, whatever we want. They're on board, and they make it happen. So I'll send you some pictures of the renovations that they're going to do in the new stuff that Samson's going to make for us. And I'm so excited. It's a big project that we've been working on for about a year, and it's finally coming to fruition.
All right, now let's look forward a little bit to 2023. Kind of run us through your district and how you think you fit and are going to compete against those teams.
Sure. We're one of the smallest teams in our district. We're going to look about high 22, low 23s as far as how many numbers we have in school. So we'll be one of the smallest teams in our district. But, at our district, every week you're fighting, whether you're going up against Pebble Hills or Eastwood or Eastlake or Montwood or Americas, El Dorado, Franklin. It's every week you're in a dogfight. So, this year it's going to be about keeping our kids healthy. And getting them to the bus. We've got to be smart on how we practice. We're not going to have a lot of depth. And so we've got to get our kids to the bus every Friday and keep them healthy. But there are no give me games in this district. It's a 9-team district, and every week it seems like every game, especially towards you get to the end of the season, every single game matters. Every game counts as far as playoffs and playoff seeding. I think if we can stay healthy, we'll compete for a playoff spot. I hope. I think we've got the athletes to do that. But again, it's all gonna come down to staying healthy.
All right. So talk a little bit about that. What can you? I mean, football is a collision sport, but what can you do in practice? What can you do in the strength and conditioning to try and minimize the injuries?
Sure. There's a lot of things you can do. I think a lot of it, you hit it on the head. You've got to have a good strength and conditioning program. These kids have to be physically ready to bang. And Coach Ayala, who's our strength and conditioning coach, he's the best there is. There's no other way around it. And he has these kids bought in, and his training workouts are going to prepare them to take on a 10, hopefully 11, 12 game season. One thing, going back to our booster club, they bought every kid on our program the Guardian caps. And so hopefully that'll mitigate head injuries. And last year we had all of our varsity in them. This year we've got every kid in our program wears one of the Guardian caps. And so hopefully that'll help reduce some of the head injuries. And some of it is just practicing a little bit differently. I was kind of the old school, I guess, where every day you have to bang. And yesterday in spring ball, we went straight helmets. We didn't go pads at all. And so it's trying to maybe do some creative things and some non-traditional things that'll keep these kids healthy to try to get them to Friday nights.
All right. Let's step back, take a real big view. You've been around high school athletics for a while. What would you say the number one challenge facing Texas high school athletics is right now?
I would say keeping kids in the program. There's so many other options for them to go do, whether it be private schools, whether it be charter schools, whether it be club teams, travel 7-on-7 teams. There's a lot of other options, and really I think it's keeping them in our program and in our building. I firmly believe that if we can get a kid to come out and at least try football here at Coronado, they're going to stay. Our coaches do a phenomenal job of walking that balancing line of being a tough disciplinarian, but still loving kids and treating them the way they should be treated. I think it's just getting kids to at least test the waters a little bit. Middle school football is kind of tough around here. Our sole feeder pattern, they haven't had a football team in 3 years for 8th grade. And so by the time they get here, if we get a couple kids, it's a matter of trying to catch them up from 7th grade to, hey, now we're getting ready for freshman or JV football. So I think it's just numbers. It's a numbers game all across the board, and that's the biggest challenge.
Okay. Now let's go from big to real small. Try and learn a little bit about Michael Pry.
Sure.
What would you say your number one guilty pleasure is?
Ooh. My number one guilty pleasure. So it's kind of a twofold question. Number one is success. I am so driven to succeed and to win. But I'd say guilty pleasure would probably, and this is my wife's fault, so I'm going to put it all on her plate, is donuts. My wife could eat 3,000 donuts and not gain a pound. And I look at a donut and I gain 20. So donuts and Mexican food. Those are probably my two biggest guilty pleasures. I've also started doing a lot of four-wheeling in the desert, and that's kind of fun too. So there's quite a bit that I like.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you very much for your time today, and best of luck in the upcoming season.
Tony, thanks for everything you do for our kids. We definitely appreciate it. And we'll talk to you soon.
LoneStarGridiron.com. Access the complete history of Texas high school football, over 100 years of information, win-loss records, coaching histories, individual stats, records, and more. Lone Star Gridiron, the authority on Texas high school